Hi, Gene. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jason. How's everything going today?
Very good. Thanks you for coming back. I wanted to talk to you about the Trump CEO getting indicted for tax issues. Can you tell us a little bit about, well, one, define for us what a CFO actually is?
Okay, CFO is the Chief Financial Officer. They are responsible for the overall, financial, looking over the fiduciary, looking over the overall financial condition of a company that they're working for.
So,
And their role is financial, but it can be operational as well. So it's really getting all those pieces together to handle the financial operations of a company.
so, Gene, tell us a little bit about what went awry in this situation that led to an indictment.
So it's interesting. So Allen Weisselberg is the CFO of the Trump Organization, and in that role, obviously, as I said, he had a fiduciary duty to ensure that everything financial is above the board at Trump Organization. And in this case, he was receiving what's called non-cash compensation. He was receiving fringe benefits that were not accounted for in his revenue, in his taxes. So in his personal taxes or in the company's payroll taxes.
Right. And before we were talking about who has the obligation under the law to report that?
Actually, both the company and the employee have the obligation. So if a company is paying or is providing, perks instead of cash compensation, in this case, Weisselberg was having, they were paying rent for him. They were paying his garage expenses for an apartment in Manhattan. They were paying tuition for grandchildren, private school tuition. Those are all perks. And they were being paid for Weisselberg in lieu of actually paying him cash compensation. And the company would be obligated to report the essentially compensation value of that so that the payroll taxes could be deducted. And then they had Weisselberg as well. If he's receiving this revenue, this money from the company, it's compensation. He should be including it on his taxes to pay his own personal taxes on it.
Right. And before you were explaining that it's not the fact that he got these things, because a lot of people do get compensated in this way. It was the failure to report it that got them in trouble.
Exactly.
And you were also saying that there was detailed records that made it very difficult.
He was actually, they were actually keeping Excel files, keeping a track in Excel of the compensation, and not just of Weisselberg, but there were other people in the company getting. I think some of the Trump family was also receiving some of these perks as well. And instead of increasing compensation every year, or maybe his salaries, his paid salary stayed the same every year, but they were providing these perks on top of it and then not reporting them.
Right. And you were saying too, on a much lower scale, this can actually happen to small and medium businesses also.
Exactly. It's actually something for employers to watch out for. There's no minimum, there's no de minimis rule for gifts given to employees. So if you have an employee and you want to reward them with a gift card, like $100 gift card,
Right.
then you actually need to do what we call in accounting terms, gross it up. You need to figure out what's the total compensation that would result in $100 net to that employee, and then add it to their payroll. It's kind of like it's like a math problem. Remember those math problems where they give you the answer and you got to figure out what that first number is? That's what you have to do.
And you said the rule regarding like if at-home equipment in terms of doing their jobs is slightly different.
So it's tricky with everyone working from home, right?
Right.
If you
Exactly.
want to give an employee, say everyone's working from home and you're having a company meeting and you want everyone to be able to order a meal for themselves from a food delivery service, and you give them a gift card to the food delivery service. If you're giving a gift card, you actually have to gross that up and put it through their payroll. But say instead you tell everybody, go ahead and order lunch, order lunch from whoever your favorite, local restaurant is, have it delivered, and we'll reimburse for that lunch up to a certain dollar amount. Then that doesn't become part of the compensation. And same thing with like home office equipment. You know, Jason, you're working from home. You need to buy a second monitor. If you buy a second monitor, we'll reimburse it up to X dollars amount. You know.
I mean, that's a great example, and I think it just shows us how important it is to have a company like yours doing someone's payroll and really looking over all the stuff to make sure they're in full compliance.
We do watch for that. We definitely make sure we watch for that. We have some clients who actually do some compensation as like independent contractors with gift cards, and we actually monitor the dollar amount, because if they're an employee, you've got to report it as part of a salary. But say they're someone who's just working for you just periodically, and you pay them with a gift card or you pay them small amounts. If it's over $600, we have to send them a 1099 for them to report as income.
And I think that's the big thing, is that when we're kind of looking at this information, and you can have the most detailed bookkeeper that you love, who's great, you think it's really, really wonderful for your company, but they may not be aware of these rules. And you can actually be running afoul of reporting rules when you don't have someone as experienced as you guys. Exactly.
You should really be, make sure your bookkeepers, make sure you know about these rules as well, and ask the questions as a business owner. I think not, there are a lot of great bookkeepers and accountants out there. And as I said, we do, from day-to-day bookkeeping all the way up through CFO at Juna. And it's important, I think, even for the business owners to understand that these are rules they need to comply with. Right. And it's tricky, right? They always think, oh, it's never going to happen to me, right? I'm sure Trump's CFO always thought it's never going to happen to me.
Right. And the thing, what we love about Junafinancial is that you guys can grow with a company, where while a bookkeeper from that you hire inside could get easily overwhelmed by how quickly your company grows and how many employees that you add. And that's a feature I think that your company really allows people to have, is that they can grow as a company and you can grow with them because you have that capacity.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. We have a rock star team of accounting associates and controllers that work for us, that we make sure we staff every engagement with at least 3 people, at least 1 associate, a controller, and then partner. It gives us separation of duties and controls in place, so we make sure there's oversight and supervision, and it allows for the growth. If a company grows and we need to add a second person, then we can do that. We can also work with our companies as they grow and kind of graduate out of our services into hiring their own people as well.
Yeah, so Gene, I know you're somewhat industry agnostic, but in this growing climate, what types of companies are you working with a lot right now?
Actually, we're not entirely industry agnostic. We focus primarily on life sciences, technology, and professional services. It's a broad group, but we find those companies fit really well in our model with our services, and they're great to work with.
Well, Gene, thanks for coming today to explain these very difficult concepts to us, and I hope to have you back again soon.
Thank you, Jason. I enjoyed it. Great to see you again.
You too.